Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council. It is Monday, May 16th, 2022, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Herrera.
Here.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
Councilor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Smith.
Here.
Councilor Starr.
Here.
Councilor Duran.
Here.
And Youth Councilor Coleman.
Here.
Thank you very much. I invite you all to rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Tonight, we don't have anything listed under special orders of business. Is there anybody here to give a committee report that didn't turn in a blue slip? I didn't get any, but I just want to check. Going once, twice, okay. No committee reports, so we'll cover those, anything additional under our council updates. Public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. There are no public hearings scheduled for this evening. So before we get into the spoken comment for the record under written public comment, we have a letter from Caitlin Loranger. She did not list the residence. Topic is Pride Fair. A letter from Sean Palmer, resident of Kaiser, library vote. A letter from Daniel M. Potter, resident of Kaiser, yes for a Kaiser Public Library. And John Robinson, resident of Kaiser, and the topic is library. So those are in the record by reference. Okay, I have a number of people signed up, and so in no particular order. We'll start off with Jonathan Thompson, and Kathy Lincoln, you're on deck. Come on down, you have 5 minutes to address the council.
Wow, I feel so special to get to go first.
I know.
You are special.
Thank you, Counselor. Madam Mayor and members of the council, my name is Jonathan Thompson and I live here in Keizer. I'm not here to support or oppose a public library, but I'm here to ask you to adopt the work group recommendation to put the subject out for a vote. With both the police and parks fee, there was much debate and discussion in the community as they were being developed. One of them included a survey with over 1,100 Kaiserites weighing in. I'm told that's a lot for something like this, but it still represents just 1 in 40 of our residents. The parks fee was necessary to improve parks we already had, and the police fee was necessary to bolster a department already serving our city. Both were existing programs. This library proposal has had much less community discussion and would change our current community library into a public library, something all new for Kaiser. Putting it on the ballot would enable a community discussion as well as get the necessary feedback and buy-in from Kaiserites. Please adopt the work group recommendation and send this proposal to the ballot. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Kathy Lincoln, and then next up will be Rhonda Rich.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm Kathy Lincoln, and I'm a Kaiser resident for 32 years. I think everyone here agrees that a library would be a great thing. A full-service library connected with a region-wide system would be a great thing for Kaiser. Excuse me. The question is how to pay for it. I urge you not to accept the recommendation of the work group, but to vote to add this as a fee to our water bill. You have done this before for other services very successfully. We've increased our public service, our public safety group. We've had a great success with our parks fee, and those were done without a vote. People initially, maybe they don't like it, but they really like the results. The proposed fee for a library would be a fraction of what those fees were. And that was a good decision that you made. You can make that decision again. I think we need to jump on this right now. An election would be costly and risky. People don't like change. They might not vote for it. But I think we really need a library. We need to grow up. Kaiser needs to put on this big girl pants, be an adult, join the community of cities that are our size, and have a library. We can pay for it. $12 a year is what you're proposing, or less than that. if you do the 75-cent fee. So I urge you, you're the electors, the people that we elect to make these decisions. Everyone may not agree with what you decide, but that's what being an elected person is, elected official is. Either way, you may lose, gain supporters, but you need to make this decision, and I think it's the best decision for everyone in Kaiser to have this library sooner rather than later, and without the risk of people who don't, I don't mean to demean people who wouldn't vote for it, but I think this is the best thing for Kaiser in the long term. We need to have a good library, and we need to have it soon. We need to take advantage of all of the things that being a not certified, a library that's connected with the bigger system would bring to Kaiser. So I urge you to vote to put this as a fee on our water bill. I'll happily pay it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Rhonda Rich, you're up, and next will be Kyle Smith Jr.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Rhonda Rich, and I'm president of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. Before I get into talking about the library, I just want to say that we had a work party at Palmacia Park, and if you haven't been down there, it's looking really good. We did some cleanup under the trees. They're going to be doing some chipping to lay down some wood chips around the picnic area. There's a bench, actually, that you can sit there and you can see the river. So I urge you to go over there, and we plan to continue to do work parties over there, and thank you to Bill Lawyer and Robert Johnson for helping us along with equipment. And I'd like to go ahead and read this to you. It's concerning the library issue. I am here tonight representing the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. Bill Leach, president of the Kaiser Community Library Board, had asked that our neighborhood association provide a liaison to the board. Chris Adams, who's here, who is currently a WICNA board member, is the liaison. She's been keeping us informed at our general meetings this year of the exciting possibility of the KCL becoming a public library. There's been much discussion in our meetings. Many of us attended the City Council work session on April 6th. At our May general meeting, we asked for a show of hands in support of a public library. The support was overwhelming in favor. We know that the council supports the library, but funding is needed. We are asking that you take advantage of the ARPA funds to fund the library for 3 years and decide how best to fund the library in the future. I think that the library is essential to the livability of the citizens in Kaiser, and I think you do too. And then take the power given to you to make it happen. I'm not saying that everyone's supportive of a fee, because no one wants to pay more taxes. But if it means that we lose our library, I think that we would all agree that a fee is necessary. It was published in the Kaiser Times that the board officer, BJ Toy, said that they would likely shut down next year unless plans get approved. If a ballot measure doesn't pass, that's the end. That would be a tragedy for our community. We support the hard work of the KCL board and other volunteers who have made a welcoming and functioning library that we as citizens of Kaiser are proud of. You should take advantage of the passionate group of educated and experienced people who are asking for help to continue providing a place for cultural and community offerings. A public library that, according to a publication of the Public Library Association, libraries build citizens. They educate individuals and foster thoughtful communities. They are essential components of communities worth fighting for and worth funding. If taking a vote of the citizens of Kaiser in the fall does fail, what then is the plan? Do we no longer have a library? We think that the benefits to our community are great, and that moving the KCL to becoming public library status will receive funding from the CCRLS in the amount of approximately $80,000 would be amazing. We as citizens will see a share of our property taxes coming back to our community, and we all support that. You have been voted in by the Kaiser citizens to do what is necessary, and we're asking that you not let this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity pass us by. Please use the ARPA funds and vote for sustainable funding for Kaiser to have a public library A public library in Kaiser will benefit all of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all good. We have a lot of people who are speaking on this topic, so rather than take questions, I'm just going to run through, let all of you have your time to say, and then we will deliberate under this agenda item. We don't want to deliberate during public testimony, okay? So that's how this is going to roll. Kyle Smith Jr.? Okay, I will put him farther down. So Jane, you're up.
He was in swimming lessons.
Swimming lessons, okay. Okay, and then Jessica, you're on deck.
Good evening, Mayor Clark and City Council members. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight on a topic that is my lifelong passion. I'm Jane Herb from Keizer. As you all know, I can talk about this subject for hours, so I am going to try to keep this in my 5 minutes, and I practice and cut by a lot. So I want to start by reading this short story, and this is from a man named Bill. When I was an unhappy little boy, going to the library changed my life. It may even have saved it. Amazing as it sounds, literature can do that for you. Books are your ticket to the whole world. With my aunt making my life hell and Big Rosie beating me on a daily basis, I lived in a dark and forbidding world as a kid. But I only had to leave our home and walk over to the library, and a whole new world opened to me. Reading books showed me that there was something better, something other out there. It made me realize that despite the constant misery of my day-to-day existence, the world might actually be a good place and an exciting one. So in a school board meeting a couple of years ago, I heard Colt Gill, head of Oregon's education department, say that Oregon kids arrive in kindergarten knowing 8 letters and letter sounds. In Salem Keizer schools, that number is only 5. This was prior to the pandemic, and I imagine that number now is likely worse. These are the statistics of 3rd graders in Oregon who are not reading at grade level. 66% of kids experiencing poverty, 70% of Black, Indigenous, and other kids of color, 78% of kids with disabilities, and 92% of kids who are non-native English speakers. Low literacy rates strain social and health services, impede our economic growth, and weaken our workforce. Reading is a crucial gateway skill that paves the pathway for successful futures. Without it, kids are less likely to graduate from high school or find gainful employment as adults, leading to a host of additional hardships. Building a strong foundation of literacy can change a child's life trajectory and can help prevent and alleviate issues of poverty, homelessness, hunger, and injustice. According to the National Institute for Literacy, 43% of adults with very low literacy skills live in poverty, and 70% of adult welfare recipients have lower level literacy skills. Adults with limited literacy are more likely to leave school early, face incarceration, and have a higher mortality rate than people with adequate reading skills. If people must decide between paying their rent and buying their food or buying books, they are not going to buy books. The library fills that gap. Today's modern libraries support digital, health, financial, informational, and media literacy. Being able to get online is a tool that supports education, access to needed benefits, employment opportunities, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and personal enrichment. Providing a means for community members to participate in these benefits of technology is when true digital equity can be achieved. My family and I moved back to Keizer about 9 years ago, and we started to use the community library. I started questioning, why in the world doesn't Keizer have a public library? And why aren't we connected to the Salem Public Library and all the other libraries in the consortium? That began my journey to try to figure this out. So our city had explored this in the past, but it had never been possible given our limited city budget. I came to find out that we operate on about 25% of the tax revenue that other cities have. So as a student of history and imagining that our founding fathers are rolling in their graves for what has become our massive federal government, not so here in Keizer. Our low tax base keeps us lean and treasuring every dollar. We've had to make hard decisions to add fees to support our police and parks. There is accountability for those funds. It's not just some slush fund that can be used anywhere. Were some people unhappy? Yes, but unquestionably, these fees have been incredibly successful in serving the people of Kaiser. In cities everywhere, the library is the most beloved institution. Often, however well-intentioned, government services add to a problem rather than solve it. Once people are in poverty or are incarcerated, the cost to society is high, and the bureaucracy often makes accessing the services difficult for those who need them. I believe in government services that offer tools for people to help them before the path becomes difficult and bleak. Libraries offer a hand up, not a handout. Our city staff is small. All of you work for free, often long hours on top of full-time jobs. You inspire the people of Kaiser to step in and volunteer. This is how our country was meant to be. We don't simply tax ourselves and pay others to do the work. We all chip in to do what needs done. And this is how our library has operated for 30 years, on volunteers and donations. The city, I will remind you, does support this library. So the argument that we don't support it is not right. We do support it with paying the library's rent. I encourage you to support this proposal in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a lot more. Dang it.
You can, if you have it in a written form, you can give it to Ms. Davis. And after Jessica, I have Cynthia Matthews.
Madam Mayor and City Councilors, thank you for being here this evening and hearing us all express what's in our heart regarding the library here in Kaiser. As a homeschool mom, we use the public library on a regular basis in Salem. As I was explaining to my husband this afternoon what was taking place this evening, he snickers because I try and get involved in different ways that I feel passionate about. But I'll try and keep it short and simple. We use the library resources a lot. Having Kaiser be a public library will benefit our family immeasurably. We take lots of trips into Salem to get books, to request books, go back to the library, then come home, then go back and return them. So we're spending a lot of time in the car going there and a lot of time a lot of finances and fuel. So a $1 fee to me is not an issue on our monthly bill. $24 a year is not a big deal for our family. It will benefit us greatly. I do, after much contemplation today, feel that it would be best for us to give it to the voters to vote and make that decision as to whether or not they see this being a benefit for their families as well. We get a lot of taxes and fees implemented into our budgets that aren't something that we have an opportunity to weigh in on, and I think that that's important as a voter to have our voices heard. And quite a few conversations that I had with friends today, they supported having a public library, but wanted the opportunity to have their voice heard, but said that if they did, they would honestly support doing it. They just were very upset with how the parks and police fees were implemented, and they want an opportunity to vote. Anyhow, that's my testimony, and I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Cynthia Matthews. And on deck is Alexis Smith.
Hello, Madam Mayor and council members. First of all, I want to tell you I appreciate all that you do for our community. I also wanted to chime in on this issue. My family really loves the library. We are bibliophiles. My husband teaches elementary school, and definitely we would see the benefit of having a public library with deeper pool of resources. So that's not the question. The question is how to fund this. And I agree with several of the people who've spoken before that we really need to take into account that in Kaiser, we want all of our community to be a part of decisions. Especially when it's something that affects people's budgets, especially when it is something that that might enhance our community. And I know a dollar fee is not that much, but it is important that that we have a say in whether or not we pay that. I also have heard a lot of feedback about the parks and police fee. Many people would have supported that fee, but are very angry that it was implemented the way that it does. And unfortunately, that undermines the trust that the community members have in the decision makers that we've elected. So I would really encourage you to allow Kaiser as a whole to put in their word and have a decision in this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alexis Smith, you're up. Are you here? And, no? Okay. Carolyn Homan? Sorry. And then Alan Johnson is on deck.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name's Carolyn Holman. I'm a Keizer resident. I support the Keizer Community Library's proposal to become a public library. The ARPA funds to support a full and part-time librarian for 3 years will get the library on solid footing, helped along by a great and enthusiastic board to continue planning for a solid future. The question, of course, is how to fund operations after those first 3 years. The council work group has proposed a $1 library fee to be voted on in November. My feeling is that we elected city councilors to represent us and make decisions about city operations. I believe the council should decide if this proposal is reasonable, if the fee is a reasonable way to support it, and approve adding this fee to let the library prosper, as have the parks and police, under previously approved fees. Kaiser has a great little library. It needs to take the next step to have a great public library, and council can make that happen just as they did for our parks and police. And my fear is that if it goes to a vote, and it is not approved, we're going to lose an asset that means a great deal to the overall health of this community, literacy. So many people can use not just books in a library, but there are a lot of services. So I really hope it can go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Johnson? And I've been remiss, I haven't been reminding people to state your name and city of residence for the record, so my bad. At least I've been announcing you in advance, which will help Ms. Davis with the minutes, but if you could just state your name and city of residence for the record.
Okay. My name is Alan Johnson. I live on 14th Avenue in Kaiser. We've been there 26 years. We moved here from a community about this size when we moved to it. It was called North Ogden, Utah. They had a library. The library was decided by the city council, as I recall. Because if not, when we had to drive clear into Ogden, which was about 15 to 20 miles round trip to the library. When we first moved here, we brought 3 of our children with us. Two were in high school, and one was at the elementary school up there. We found ourselves having to go to Salem and pay, I think it was $45 a year for a library card at the time. And I found that very disturbing, that we could go to the Ogden Library and get a card for a lot less money than the people of our little city decided they wanted the library. And we had an advantage. We were part of the Carnegie came in and gave us a large sum of money to help us put that in. But they also had to put the maintenance fees on our property taxes to maintain the library. I think I have the ones that I can vote for here, I voted for. I trust them, and I trust you, Mayor. And I think we need to trust our elected officials. I know that's hard sometimes nowadays with what's going on in the governments, but I have complete trust in you that you'll make the right decision. It benefited our children. by us going to the library every week. All of our children go to the library every week. All of our grandkids go every week and pick out their books to read. And it's been a blessing to those grandchildren that we have 3-year-olds that can read now. And as I look back on our children when they were that age, we went up to the library, and all except our one son who had some problems all learned to read at an early age. I have now 3 daughters who have master's degrees because of that. 2 of them are school teachers, and one right now is a stay-at-home mom because her husband has a job and she doesn't need to go to work. But she has the skills to do so if she does, because she learned to read at an early age. So my recommendation is we put you in the position to make hard decisions. And I believe that you need to make this decision for the city of Keizer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rob Witters, and then Daisy Santana's on deck.
Good evening, Mayor Clark, council members. My name is Rob Witters, and I'm a resident of Keizer. I'm here tonight to discuss my support for the Keizer Community Library becoming a part of the CCRLS. I understand that the committee assigned to look at the funding for the library is in the support of the library, but feels it would be best to put the funding on the ballot. In my opinion, this decision sounds to be an overreaction to what may or may not have been a proper decision in the past. Whether a service fee was added to the water bills for park or police in the past should be irrelevant to whether you as councilors authorize a fee for the library or send it to the voters. Trying to make up for what may have been perceived as a wrong decision in the past by making another one now should not be the criteria for this decision. As far as Keizer as a city, Keizer is the 2nd largest city in Marion County by population. Jefferson has a population of just over 3,300 residents, and they have a library. Mount Angel has a population of 3,500 plus. They are part of the CCRLS, as is Silverton, Staten, Woodburn, and not to mention a bunch of other towns that are outside of Marion County. Keizer's population is nearly 40,000 at this time. I've heard it stated that we don't need to fund this library because we have the internet. Well, that's not entirely true. Not everyone has the same access to the internet. Not everyone has the same high-speed connection. And these days, based upon what I've seen each time I go to a different URL address, you'll spend a lot of time waiting installed if you have to rely on a dial connection. Finally, I'd like to bring up the horrific incident which occurred in Buffalo this past weekend. It became abundantly clear that the person who carried out the massacre there had fallen prey to misinformation and wild conspiracy theories. The police hadn't even left the scene yet, and there are already online stories coming out about the attack stating that it was a false flag, that it was perpetrated by the government and others. I believe that the only way to combat this type of misinformation, and frankly, this hate which seems to grow each day, is through positive and accurate information. And no, I'm not talking about the type of information someone gets online. No, what I'm referring to is information available in public libraries for the next generation. I'm talking about the ability for kids of all ages and socioeconomic backgrounds to be able to go to a library free of charge and read a book written by someone who does not look like them. Stories about people who were raised in a different family structure or with different beliefs. Stories about people who might think differently or even love differently. And learning at an early age that those differences don't make them bad or scary or evil, just different. This is what I fear we will lose if Keizer does not get a public library, and this is something that you, as a city council, can vote on and improve without risking it over $12 a year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Daisy, you're up, and then BJ, you're going to be batting cleanup.
Hi there, Daisy Santana Hickman, Kaiser resident. I think my bona fides as to my feelings on the library are pretty well known by all of the council. I do appreciate you letting us speak. So I listened to some of the concerns before. The first one being having our voices heard. I'm up here right now. I'm having my voice heard. You guys are all listening to me. You're all paying attention to me. In addition to that, all of the people watching are paying attention to me. My voice is heard. I voted for some of you to make these decisions, to make my city a city I can be proud of. It is embarrassing, frankly, to say we don't have a public library. When people ask me what it is that you do outside of work, and I have to volunteer at our community library. We don't, what's that? We don't have a public library, and it's shocking to most people. There was some concern that previous fees were for existing situations, and that this would be for something new. Like Jane tried to get in before her 5 minutes were up, we have received funds from the city, from the general fund. This is not something new. This is not something that we're coming to the city all of a sudden about. The city has been very involved, and we're just asking to basically make it official. And then the voting. Not all Kaiserites are voters. We have populations that are here legally, but they are not allowed to vote. We have populations that do not have addresses, so they are not allowed to vote. They have no way to register. We have children. We have people with disabilities of such that they are not able to vote. Those are the people we serve at the library. And that's the Kaiser that I want to see, is the Kaiser that supports those populations. So, and then in addition, hearing the people's concerns up here, my fear is not that people don't want a library, but that people aren't going to be voting in November as to whether or not they want a fee for a library. People are going to be voting on things that happened, 5 years ago, that the library had nothing to do with. And if we were voting on a library, okay, maybe I still don't think so. I still don't think that that's necessary, because again, we have a representative democracy. It's within your power, and I think it's your duty to make these decisions for us. But it's, I think, disingenuous to think that a vote in November is going to be a clean vote about whether or not people would support a fee for the library. So that is my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. BJ, want that cleanup? Because she's the last one I have signed up for library. Michael, you want to weigh in? Do you want to let Michael go before you so
Sure.
you can? Okay. So again, just name and city of residence for the record.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilors, staff. My name is Mike DeBlasi, and I'm a resident of Keizer. I come here tonight to voice my support for a public library and to express my disappointment that some members of the library work group voted to put the decision on a library fee to a general vote. A few weeks ago, the support here for a public library was nearly unanimous. Only one voice was against having you vote for the fee. The other day, I was talking with someone who said we could just have a few coffee shops with Wi-Fi and that would adequately replace a public library, but I disagree. Our society has become more fractured. We shop, recreate, live, all based on our tribes. We need more public spaces, like a library, where all are welcome. Libraries are repositories of knowledge, houses of discovery, and refuges for all people. The internet is not. And we live in a representative democracy, not a direct democracy. You've been elected to represent all of Kaiser and not just a few. Judging from the comments the other evening, I can only surmise the push for a vote on a public fee is to kill the public library option. It's embarrassing that Kaiser doesn't already have a public library. It's embarrassing if the council won't muster up the courage to vote themselves for the public library fee. And it will be beyond embarrassing if the public library fee fails at the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else before BJ finalizes? Going. Fatima.
Hi, members of council. I did not expect to speak today, so pardon me if I am not quite as organized as some of our other speakers.
Just name and city of residence for the record.
Fatima Falcon, and I live in Kaiser.
Boom.
Okay, so I actually started out coming to these city council meetings as an interpreter. As you can see in the back, shout out to professional interpreters, because I'm a bilingual. In fact, I'm a trilingual speaker. I didn't arrive here to Kaiser as a bilingual speaker. In fact, I went to Claggett Elementary and McNary, which all helped me build the ability to speak in English that you see today. I was able to go on and get a higher education and even travel to France, where I learned and became fluent in French. And I just have to say that this would not have been possible without the support that you as a city have provided students like me, immigrants like me, to be welcomed into the society, into the city, to be represented so well, and that I believe that it's just going to be so much more inclusive and so much more willing to serve the community that I represent and that I feel represented us if we have a public library. Public libraries can provide so many different resources, so many different, for example, classes of citizenship and other ways that I can see my community being able to feel even more welcomed than they already feel by everybody here. So I just wanted to give that shout out as one of the only brown people that you can see sitting out in the audience. Just wanted to give my little piece of grain that I believe that this library should be passed by the council, as you guys are our representatives and as we have put our trust in you. Thank you so much for your time and for hearing me out.
Thank you, Fatima. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna go to David, and then Lori, and then BJ, unless there's someone else has something else to share.
My
Okay.
name's David Lowden. I've lived in Keizer for 63 years. I'm also vice chair and was chairman of the Parks Board when we got our parks fee. And if you remember, it took us 2 years to get that parks fee. We had to do outreach to the city citizens. We had to come up with a list of what they wanted, what were their priorities. And now we have a list of our 3 to 5 year goals, and we are able to do that now. Before, our park system was virtually useless. We couldn't mow the lawns, we had broken equipment, and we couldn't develop anything because Mr. Lawyer was an expert at saying no. But that was his job.
We love you, Bill.
No, you can't use the system development charges for that. That was his other favorite saying. So, being said that, I haven't heard a lot about this library, and I think they should go through the same process as the Parks Board did. There should be a set of goals. They should go and do community outreach, come back with what the citizens of Keizer want, and report back to the council. I don't think a vote is required just yet. I think you should do the other part before we go through the expense of a vote. And I don't think they deserve a fee without going through that. Same thing that the police and the Parks Board did. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, David. I saw Lori and I saw Betty. Okay, rock, paper, scissors, and it looks like it goes to Betty.
My name is Betty Hart, and I have been a resident of Kaiser for more than 45 years. Yes, I was here in 1982 when Kaiser became a city. And because my husband was silly enough to put his name forward to run for the city council, we had an opportunity to talk with a lot of people who had voted for the city. And we learned, of course, that people didn't like the idea that their taxes might go up. And in fact, forming the city caused their taxes to go down because of the things the city was eligible for that we weren't eligible for before we became a city. So one of the first things the council did was to look at what services they should take over. And as you know, they took over the water district, they took over the sewer district. And they did look carefully at the issue of a library. At that time, we did not have a community library, and the only option that was available to the city council was to partner with the city of Salem. And the proposal Salem put forward to Kaiser at that time was they'd be happy to provide library services in Kaiser at the same rate that Salem citizens were paying for their library, $45 a year per household. So now you have the opportunity 40 years later to actually create a public library at the cost of $12 a year per household or even less. And I think you should take it. The time has more than come for Kaiser to have a public library and provide to our citizens here in our community the services that are available through CCRLS and the opportunities that we have. But we cannot do it without your help. So I hope that you will step up and vote to fund the library on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Lori? Pardon?
So I'm in a quandary. I didn't know the library was on the agenda, so I was really here to talk about the piece of art. Well,
Okay.
all right.
Name, city, residence, and go.
Okay. Lori Christopher, resident of Kaiser, Evans, 34 years. So I hadn't planned on talking about libraries, but I'm happy to do so. Really, the problem began in 2017, didn't it? Because that's when Pandora's box was opened. That's when the city council of that time made the decision to use a loophole, not authority, a loophole in the tax law that allowed a fee for service. And they did extensive, as Dave Lowden said, they did extensive public education, almost 2 years worth. And they had 1,100 park supporters return surveys, but 25,000 of us were silenced. 25,000 of us had $1.2 million in taxes added to our tax burden by the decision of 7 people, and not even 7, 5 people on the parks fee, and it really only takes 4 of you. And so really, we have a room full. I'm shocked to hear we think this is not going to pass. We never have had an opportunity like we have right now. We have ARPA money available to pay for the first 3 years. They're asking for a $1 fee per month. I'm shocked that anyone would say this ballot measure can't pass. And it costs us nothing. I know a couple folks have said it's so expensive to put on the ballot. It costs us nothing. We can add anything to the ballot on a primary or a general election. So this is a free election for us to put it there, to let people to try to do some healing from the decision that you made in 2017 by imposing those taxes on residents without any say of their own. And I'm a park supporter, and I'm a cop supporter, and I'd have voted for these. You didn't give me the chance. And that should never have happened, and it should never happen again. We can do this. We can pass this ballot measure. And I'm wearing the sign, and I'm committed to do that. And you all know me. And you know how many houses and doors I've knocked on in this community for various reasons. And I'm willing to do that if there's a ballot. If there's not a ballot, I'm not interested. And I did not elect you to raise my taxes. I elected you to have good public debate on issues of importance to our community and get me the best ballot measure that you can so that I can vote for it. I should have had the best ballot measure that you could have provided for parks so I could have voted for it. I should have had the best ballot measure that you could determine for cops so I could have voted on it. That's why you're in that position. You're in there to debate public policy. You are not in those chairs to raise my taxes without my vote. See, now I was gonna be all nice and now you got me all worked up. And I tell you, I'm terrified because I voted for all of you and I've endorsed all of you to run in your position. You're not gonna be here forever. You're transient, you're leaving. And now that you've got Pandora's box open, what's next? Are we gonna start funding political campaigns with city money? 4 votes is all it takes to add it to the water bill. How about city-funded abortions? 4 votes, just 4 votes. That's all it takes. That's the Pandora box you've opened. So this needs to go, you should never, and I'm sorry that library's coming third after parks and police, because I feel as strongly about that. That should never have happened. It should never happen again. Now, I'd like to be friendly. This is the picture that has been how can I get this? This is by D. Hendricks. The Kaiser Chamber of Commerce every year works with the Kaiser Art Association to choose their Iris Festival, or I'm sorry, Kaiser Fest poster. And this is the gorgeous piece that they have selected this year. It's an alcohol and ink art piece, and you can see that the iris is a beautiful ruby color, and the significance of that is, just like the city of Kaiser, isn't 2022 our 40s? It's our Ruby anniversary, and it is also the Chamber's Ruby anniversary. So this is the beautiful piece that they have selected to move forward. I just want to give a shout out to Corey Filardo. What an outstanding job she is doing with the Chamber of Commerce and how pro-business our Chamber of Commerce is. They are just doing great things. I'm excited that it's down at Kaiser Rapids Park. I think this is going to be a really great thing for the city of Kaiser. I also want to put out one more thing. I have 26 seconds. We're looking for volunteers since the world has decided we're going to live and we're going to move forward. It's really hard, as y'all know, to recruit employees, to recruit for volunteers. I brought a poster today for Kaiser Art Association. Library needs volunteers as well. So does theater. I mean, any nonprofit needs volunteers. So any of you, and our little volunteer jobs are 4 hours. Can I finish?
Finish your sentence.
4 hours a month. So if you know of anyone, and particularly we deal with a lot of seniors and a lot of young folks. So if you know of anyone who's interested in volunteering for 4 years in a really fun place with lots of beautiful art around it, please, kaiserarts.com. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. Thank you for the hours you put in. You know, I know, and I appreciate it.
You've been there, done that, for sure. Thank you, Lori. BJ. Oh, looks like we got one. Of course you may. Yeah. That's a lovely piece.
I will calm myself because when I hear a lot of the commentary, quite frankly, I get a little angry. So
if you're name and city of residence, please.
Yes, my name is Irma Fernandez Dash. And I have lived in Kaiser for quite a while already, over 25 years or so. Okay.
Thank you.
I do speak for many of the people who live in Kaiser. You know them. They are the workers, the landscapers, the roofers, lots of people you know, many of the people in apartment buildings who pay the rent. And many of them, as has been mentioned before, are not able to vote. So when you say that the voting population is the only one entitled to benefit from public services in Kaiser, it just hurts me. I mean, it hurts my heart because they pay the water, they pay for the police, they pay their fees. And so why not be entitled to a friggin' library that they could come and use when they might not have the money to pay for the internet or to buy computers, but they live here. And they are so effectively marginalized and ignored. And I don't know, I thought that you all were, you're going to serve them, okay? We are here to serve each other. We make a community. We're nice people, we're brown, but we're nice most of the time. So I think that is all that I'm going to say. I will submit my excellently developed document so that you can take it into account. But anyway, thank you, and you do your best as I'm doing my best.
Thank you very much.
See, there was another brown person.
And everywhere. All right. And now, Ms. BJ, come on down. We're going back clean up. We're almost at the top of the hour, and then we'll move on with our agenda.
I'm not sure I want to speak after Irma. My name is BJ Towie. I have been a Kaiser homeowner for 37 years. Libraries change lives. It was brought home to me less than a week ago on a Wednesday when I received an email from the current youth services manager at Salem Public Library. The email said, this woman, whose name was given in the email, called and wanted to thank the youth services librarians who saved her life. She described herself as one of the weird girls in the long dresses who wanted to learn and read. She was allowed to change the scenes in the dollhouse, and that privilege, I can tell you, was not given to many.
True.
She ran away from home as a teen, and she survived thanks to the library. She only wanted the library staff from years ago to know her real name. She goes by another name now. Libraries change lives. They impact lives in ways that people who have worked in libraries for years don't realize. One of the privileges of working in a public library is that you get thanked regularly for your help. You don't get tipped. I used to think if I got tips like a waitress did, I'd be making a lot of extra money. But occasionally you get the kind of thanks that makes an entire career worthwhile. And that's what I got last Wednesday. We've discussed every point in favor of a public library with you during the public meetings. Others have spoken tonight and addressed those points again. Furthermore, all the comments that you counselors have made have indicated that you support the idea of a public library. Unfortunately, no one in this room knows how a money measure vote will go in November's election. This is not a normal time. This will be an election held after almost 2.5 years of a pandemic. People are disenfranchised, they're at odds with each other in a way they've never been before, and they're at odds with government at all levels. A ballot measure that might have passed before COVID has the very real possibility of failing because of the effects of the pandemic that it's had on every single person in this country and in the world. Failure in November will have a devastating long-term effect that will take years to overcome, if it ever can be. We fear it will also be the death knell for Kaiser Community Library. If you send this to a November ballot and it fails, it doesn't reflect the will of the Kaiser community. It reflects the minority who actually voted. Showing enough courage tonight, especially in the face of a front page coverage this last week, by funding the library, we'll be doing what is truly best for every single person who lives in our city. Please don't try to heal Kaiser on the back of a public library tonight. A vote tonight to fund the library will make Kaiser a better community, a stronger community, a community more able to attract businesses and residents, a community that demonstrates that it values the education, literacy, and welfare of its children, its teens, and its adults. As Salem Library Director, I knew that there were some people who would question and even dislike every single decision I had to make. The same is true for you as counselors, we know that. No matter what you decide tonight, there will be people who are angry at you. You'll hear negative feedback as a certainty, but please step up to the plate tonight and do the right thing to improve Kaiser. Do the job the Kaiser residents voted to have you do as our city councilors, and vote to fund the public library tonight. Allow us to move this city forward by taking a giant step that is long overdue. Thank you.
Thank you. That is everybody I had signed up, and a few more who had wanted to comment on this very significant issue, and we will be taking up this discussion under item 8E when we discuss the work group recommendation. Thank you all very much for a very, very informative and exemplary discourse on a fabulously important issue. At this time, we're going to go to administrative action. Item 8A is a resolution recognition of the Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association. And this goes to City Manager. It sounds like we have the folks from the Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association here tonight.
Yes, we do have them there, and the action is to recognize this neighborhood association.
All right, thank you very much. So I will turn it over to you if you would introduce yourselves for our viewers and proceed.
Tammy Kunz, Kaiser. We have lived in Kaiser for 7.5 years. I am president, and this is Jacqueline, who is vice president.
And I've been here for 50 years.
The reason we decided we needed a neighborhood association is we have attended a few of the association meetings and found that it was a great support and built a lot of community, built a lot of connections. And it's a way to get other voices heard when they can't be here themselves.
And Northeast Kaiser, we really need a neighborhood watch because there's a lot of issues. We have a lot of issues over there in that area with tagging and stuff. We need a neighborhood watch going.
Association.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor and
Yes.
Council, the item is before you as a resolution which would establish the Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions council has of Tammy and Jacqueline? Thank you. All right, Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A quick comment. I've watched these ladies show up at every event almost, and as part of my work with the Kennedy Family Council, we're actually working. They've actually helped us, and I just wanted to mention that they really are involved quite a bit in that area that needs attention in terms of community building. And as part of the person that's building on that, I'm actually going to be working with these ladies, and I'm hoping that we can have a good partnership with our situation and theirs, and I will support it completely. Like I said, they've been to all the meetings, and they are very persistent, and I know that when you're new at something, you're not exactly good at it yet, but they are doing a really good job of presenting what they're trying to do here, and I really think it's a good thing for our community, especially the area that I'm working with, so I find that very helpful. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies.
So are we ready to put a motion on the table then and discuss? All right, thank you. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2022, recognition of the Northeast Keizer Neighborhood Association.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2022, recognition of the Northeast Keizer Neighborhood Association. Discussion. As to my knowledge, this area has not had a neighborhood association before. At least if it did historically, it was a long, long time ago. So I want to thank the folks who have stepped up to put this effort out. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. And,
I do have a question.
Councilor Kohler.
When and where are they going to meet?
Third Wednesday.
Here?
Yep, third Wednesday here. And I'll be appointing the liaisons under other business this evening.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
I think the Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association is meeting on the third Wednesday.
That's third, okay.
Northwest.
Northwest is third Wednesday, okay. And Northeast is yet to be scheduled. Okay. Okay. Next up is item 8B, the Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association Annual Report. Is there anyone here from the Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association this evening?
No. They were Mayor Clark, they were unable to come tonight.
Okay.
They submitted a written report.
Okay, City Manager?
Yes, I attended their meeting with Councilor Kohler and Councilor Starr, and they submitted a written report as is required annually by them.
All right, thank you very much, and that's in the packet for our review. Are there any questions on the report submitted by the Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association? All right, Council President Smith.
I move that the Keizer City Council I gotta back up once. I move the Keizer City Council accept the report by motion and extend recognition to the Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association for an additional year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council accept the report from Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association and extend recognition for an additional year. Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 8C, the Keizer Community Center fee waiver request, the Casa of Marion County Resource Parent Appreciation Dinner. City Manager?
The city recorder has this item.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself.
Okay, and for the record, Councilor Starr is recused from this agenda item.
Thank you, Adam. And we have received a request from Casa, the court-appointed special advocates of Marion County, for a waiver of the rental fees for the community center for a resource parent appreciation dinner on March 26th. The total fees would be $750, and included in that would be the $140 of staff. So I request the council deliberate and decide if they'd like to waive the fees.
All right, thank you very much. And for folks listening, it's May 26th.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council on the proposal from Casa of Marion County? Council President Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council grant the request for a complete waiver of fees associated with this event, $750 rental fee plus a $750 refundable security deposit.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council grant the request for a complete waiver of fees associated with the event, $750 rental fee plus a $750 refundable security deposit. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Abstentions?
I abstain.
Motion passes with 6 aye and 1 abstention, that is Councilor Starr. Item 8D as in Delta, the resolution adopting eligible project to be used by the city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for community prosperity initiative. City Manager?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, Director Wood has this item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. At the March 7th meeting, you directed staff to create a program to utilize funds from the Marion County Community Prosperity Initiative. I am excited to bring some information back to you because I think this is going to be a great project because I like food. The agreement provides for $15,000 per year for 2 years, and the initial $15,000 will be available to us July 1st, 2022. Those funds do need to be spent by June 30th, 2023, so we do have a little bit of a time crunch for us here. The parameters of the program, just generic for your consideration tonight, 50% matching grant for businesses up to $5,000. The funds will be on a reimbursement basis. Funds can be used towards pre-development work, studies, and infrastructure for a food truck pod. The funds can be used to build new food truck pods or upgrade existing ones, and the preference will be given to properties along River Road. We do have written in a preliminary deadline of March 31st, 2023. This will give us the opportunity, if we aren't able to allocate all the funds, to reallocate those to a different economic development type of project. And with that, if there's any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? Councilor Starr.
Mr. Wood, are these just for properties that would like to host a food truck pod, or can it be used for business owners that want to create a food truck business?
This can be used for both.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2022, adopting eligible project to be used by city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for community prosperity initiative.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2022, adopting eligible project to be used by the city for funds received from the county under intergovernmental agreement for community prosperity initiative. Any further discussion? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm getting hungry thinking about it.
Me too. We have a lot of great food truck businesses right here in this community. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 8E. We did that in 10 minutes.
I know, I'm like blown away.
That's because everybody came prepared, which is fabulous. Love it. That's what we do. All right, item 8E, which is the Kaiser Library Work Group recommendation. So I'd like to do this in a couple of steps. One is we have the report from the city manager, and then I would like to hear from the work group members regarding their findings. And then we will break it down from there as to our decision points. So with that, I'll go to our city manager.
I guess this is the moment we've all been waiting for, the build up here. Madam Mayor and Council, the city attorney and I spent a lot of time discussing this last week before he left on, and so we tried to capture each other's comments and thoughts in the staff report, and also the finance director as well helped us with some fee calculations. And so in the staff report, we tried to identify the options that are available. You have several options when it comes to funding the library through a fee that you pass, through a fee that the ballot, that would be on the ballot, through a serial levy, and then last through a special taxing district. We have the schedule of the tax yield for each of those options in the staff report. And I think there's a lot of discussion about governance and the level of city involvement that could take place. Or we can treat this just very simple to the request of the $125,000 and narrow that down to whether the council wants to put that on the ballot or would like to put that on the service bill. So it's really, I think, what the question comes down to. And again, there are many options and many other considerations that we could talk about, but that's the key decision point right now.
All right, thank you very much. So next, I'd like to hear from the work group. The work group consisted of Councilors Kohler, Starr, and Reed, and give each of you a chance to share what your view of the outcome from the work group was and the recommendation that came forward. So in no particular order, I'll start with Councilor Reed.
Well, Dan was chair, so.
Oh, okay. I was not aware of that. Then I'll start with the chair.
She was vice chair.
We could go rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
I'd be happy to go.
Okay.
So I guess I wanted to start my thoughts with kind of going back to where we were at the beginning about the conversation for the library and its relationship to CCRLS and how that would be funded. So the initial idea was to be able to use those ARPA funds for 3 years worth of funding, after which time we would figure out how to proceed from there. Basically get the kite off the ground and then basically figure out how to proceed from there. My understanding is that CCRLS was not entirely comfortable with that because of the uncertainty after that 3 years. And so this idea of the stable funding came up as a result of this relationship and these talks with CCRLS. So by putting $1 a month on the fee bill or the water bill would give us about the level of service as Lyons, which is little teeny town in off of Highway 20. But it's a start. And my view of this is that by doing this as a council, it gives us more options. And I loved what Mr. Lowden articulated today, is that it took a long time to understand to even understand the conception of what we wanted our park system to look like. And I think much the same is true with the library in terms of what do we want from a library. And I think if we as a council pass that $1 a month fee for the water bill, then that gives us some flexibility to be able to say, yes, we have stable funding for the minimum. In the interim, well, when we talk, when we get the ARPA funds and get that up and running, then we can decide, all right, well, what kind of services do we want from a library? Do we want little services that the $1 a month is going to perpetuate? Or do we want big things that would require a levy or something more, like a building, and that would be other conversations. And that by the council approving at least that minimum, it gives us time to be able to figure out what those level of services, what Kaiser wants in terms of those level of services, and just gives us more options for the future. If we put this to a vote on the ballot, it severely limits our options. If we put this one option on the ballot, then that's all we can really do. And we also set the precedent for every time we feel the need to increase that level of service and therefore increase that funding, we would be severely limited we would put that up to a vote every time. So it just seems to me that we have a whole lot more options if we take responsibility as a council to pass this, the minimum fee of $12 a year on the water bill. And then my other thoughts is, again, as has been mentioned here, that we as a council represent not just voters, but we represent all residents of Kaiser, and that is our responsibility to stand up and do what the people have elected us to do and make those hard decisions. This being a precedent, this is a basic service. As the police and as the parks fees, we're funding basic services. I don't see this as a slippery slope kind of a situation. I see this as the council doing what is necessary to provide basic services for Kaiser residents. So those were some of my thoughts. And I'm so glad that we're having this discussion. I absolutely respect the variety of perspectives, and I will do my absolute all to support the library either way.
Thank you, Councilor Reed. Councilor Kohler?
I don't think I can take that much time. Councilor Reed is extremely passionate about the library, and I appreciate that about her. One of the things that I've done with the library is that I've put a lot of time and effort into trying to figure out what it is and how we do it and how this can all work. I don't think there's anybody up here that doesn't support the library. I don't know anybody. Well, maybe Bill, but no.
I don't think he's really happy with that one.
The biggest question is.
You're gonna pay for that one.
How do we fund it? So, somebody mentioned a little bit ago that the city has been involved in funding the community library. They have, to a small extent, that's true, but not to the extent that we're looking at doing now. And I think that it would be great to have a public library. I just want to know how it's going to be paid for. There's been, one of the questions that was always, well, from the beginning is how do we become accepted with CCRLS? Through the work group, we looked at different ways that can happen. Asked specifically, if we fund this, will CCRLS accept Keizer Library, Keizer Public Library as a member? And they said yes. I appreciate that, because there was a lot of things that had to happen in order for that yes to come. We're looking for ways to make yes. That's what we're looking for. The Mets report that I think most all of us got a copy of said that over 70% of the people wanted a public library. I don't think that's changed. I think that 70% of the people probably still do want a public library. But we need to give them the opportunity to say, yes, I want to support a public library. I wasn't elected to raise any taxes. I was elected for public policy and to help things come all together. That's my main thing. I met with the library board several times, well, once specifically in the whole group, and they asked me what I thought was going to happen, and I think that that's still true. And so I feel pretty strongly that I don't want to take the responsibility of raising people's taxes. I want them to say, yes, I want to do this. And I think they will. Yeah, so I think they will.
All right, thank you. And the other one on the work group, Councilor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too believe that this should be sent to the voters for a decision. That is not a decision that I came to lightly. I appreciate everybody that has come to testify over the multiple meetings and the conversations, the people who have reached out to me in person, by phone, via email as well, to express their opinion. People are very passionate about this decision. And I feel that if we are if we are going to enter into being a public library where it is required that 50% of the funding for a public library come from a public entity, i.e. the city, and the way that we are going to get that funding is through a fee on the water bill, I believe that it should be sent to the voters to make that decision. I came to that decision through hours and hours and hours of conversations and meetings. And I have faith in our community in Kaiser that we see the value of libraries. I spent hours upon hours myself as a child and as a teen in a library. It's where I started where I developed my passion for volunteer work, was volunteering in our library. And I also believe that we need to give residents the opportunity to lean into that work and show their support by giving them a chance to say yes. And I believe that our Kaiser community will answer that call, because I believe that we all see the value in a library. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that's pretty much our first decision point. Is there any reason to stop this conversation at this point, to say, no, we're not interested in converting Kaiser Community into Kaiser Public? I think that's our first decision point. So continue the conversation on the conversion of Kaiser Community to Kaiser Public. Okay. Since we are agreed that that is a conversation to continue, then the next question is, we understand that because of the tremendous work of our library volunteers, our Kaiser Community Library is now poised to become Kaiser Public. They have done the work. They have checked the boxes. They have met the criteria and actually exceeded the criteria, as we heard during the work session. They weren't just satisfied with doing a bare minimum. They kind of said, okay, there's the bar, we're going to sail over it. And I think that's something we heard loud and clear during the work session, that Kaiser Community Library, under the work of decades of volunteers and incredible expertise, have got it to this point where it's ready for the handoff. And that's where we're at right now. So to the folks who are watching and wondering, well, why can't it keep on going? When the quarterback has the ball, at some point he's got to pass. Otherwise, they're not going to get it to the end zone. It's just not going to happen. At some point, it is ready. And because of the tremendous work of the Kaiser Community Library and our community in general, we're ready for the handoff. Are we agreed on, by consensus on that? Okay, so it's how we're going to manage this. So the other fact is that all of us who pay taxes in Kaiser pay into CCRLS, the Chemeketa Cooperative Regional Library System, for those who are doing their acronym check. This is on your property tax bill you already pay. So the conversion of Kaiser Community into Kaiser Public will bring the dollars that are being paid by Kaiser taxpayers right now into Kaiser Public. So this will bring the dollars home to provide services right here. So I will make sure everybody's clear on that. Right now, the closest ones are Chemeketa and downtown Salem. So, and the last piece is that we have an opportunity to put off enacting a funding stream for 3 years, because we can use the ARPA funds, the American Recovery and Prosperity Act funds, to cover the city costs for 3 years. That doesn't mean we're kicking the can down the road. What that means is that we are allowing for another funding stream that we have available to us as a one-time to be used for this purpose. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility in our conversation. So I think I want to make sure that we're clear on these ground pieces. Okay, any questions on those? So the decision points tonight, also to make sure people recognize that we're talking about this can be accomplished in the current space. This can be accomplished to leverage services for the online and interlibrary loan sharing. So that would increase the number of books and resources available right here through Kaiser Public. The question before us now is whether to, well, we were given 4 options. One was to do a fee that would go on to our Kaiser Services bill. I'm not going to say when or how, that's separate. There was a fee, there was a taxing district, serial levies. What was the 4th one?
Reduce funding for other departments.
Oh, that's right, out of the city general fund. I think we're all agreed the city general fund is the no-go. Yeah. The $500,000 a year that just got sucked back out of PERS. Yeah. And it's been clear in all of our discussions, talking about library services, that it would have to be a new funding stream in order to be able to fund public library. So I don't think there's anything new there. Is there anyone who wants to pursue a conversation about a taxing district or a serial levy as an option? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a comment about that. We did look at that as one of the options in our work group. One of the biggest problems with it is you'd have to vote on it again every so often, every 3 or 4 years. And we didn't feel that that would create the kind of continuous stream that we wanted to have.
And that's in reference to the cereal levy. Yep.
Right. And that would also fall under the compression if we ever reach that point with our property tax cap of, I think it's $10 per thousand. Eventually that we might bump up against that because we have other taxing districts that we all pay into. And we do have a constitutionally created cap. So
there were some parts of that were interesting and could have some great benefits, but it didn't make sense for us.
Right. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that we covered those bases before we focused in on what seems to be the simplest, most straightforward funding mechanism, which is a fee on the Kaiser services bill. Is that the direction for the conversation to go at this point? That way you look at that funding stream. Okay? So the question now is whether or not we put that funding stream on a ballot, or if we enact it now, or if we enact it a little later on as we conclude the conversation with CCRLS and get the approval, because they have to finish changing the bylaws in September, as I understand it. And that would line up their application and their bylaws to match it. We heard that from John Hunter at our work session. So that is also a process that is underway, but we heard from them that is a direction that they are proceeding at this point. Councilor Starr?
And I believe that was a 2-vote process and they've already done 1 vote. Is that correct?
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
And the first vote was approval with that change. Thank you.
Correct. So this would then go for their second reading in September because they don't meet during the summer. I'd like to say it's just a formality, but it's an important one. Okay, so the decision before us tonight is to take this services fee for a Kaiser Community Library conversion to Kaiser Public Library to put it on the ballot or to move forward with a fee that would not go into effect for 3 years. Okay, so that is the decision before us tonight. I'd also like to take a slight turn. We were talking about the $1 amount. Did the work group discuss cost of living regarding, we have inflation, the costs go up over time. And we need to build that in. I'll say you're stuck at $1 forever. It's kind of like our tax base of $208 per thousand. We're still living on $1996 and it's 2022. And that's part of what's got us over a barrel. So was that discussed? And what was the recommendation?
Chair Kohler?
Chicken.
I mean, I don't have a problem. I worry that the requested $1, I worry if that is enough.
Mm-hmm. Was a cap or an escalator related to the cost of living discussed?
Right, so the number that they actually ask for is 75 cents. If you figure out how many $1,000 they ask for in their ask. And we looked at that and thought that $1 would probably be closer to matching what they really need to get it going and would build a little bit of a cushion in there for cost of living and some of those types of things. So that's why one of the things we had talked about was $1. We also talked about the possibility of that going up a little bit in time if there are additional needs. We talked about it maybe going up to $2. We also talked a little bit about, well, could it go up to $1.25? Could it go up to $1.50? And Mr. Wood said to us, well, normally that goes up at $1 increments, but it doesn't mean that it has to. And so that kind of made us look at that and say, Well, if we start at $1, if it needs to go to $1.25, we can work with that.
So, but I think the bigger question is, in either direction we go, we've got to have, like on our parks fee, we've got a cap. On the police fee, we've tagged it to the 5 positions. So we were clear about what it was buying. So the key here is, do we have it tagged to a level of service or to a cost of living escalator that makes sure that we do not lose service, but we maintain the level of service? Was that discussed?
I don't know that we left that work group with a definitive answer. I lean towards the cost of living, because that, then you're guaranteed, I believe there's another, in the requirements to become a member to the CCRLS, there's a requirement about the pay levels that are commensurate with other, and I can't remember the verbiage that was used, but if we tie it to a cost of living increase, then that ensures that the fee would be enough to pay that salary, right? That would be commensurate with comparables.
Right, and maintain the
And
level of
that,
service.
right, and that was a requirement of that.
Okay.
So that's where my comfort level in tying it to a cost of living every year
Okay.
is.
Questions, comments from other councilors? Councilor Herrera? And then I'll go to Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I really like when we have discussions like this, because it brings up points that I didn't even, the point about who votes is very, something I never really thought about in terms of the folks that use it, because there's a lot of folks that would need it, that would actually be users, but they can't vote. And that's concerning to me, because I was already thinking, if that's what they decide for going for the vote, I guess that's the way we'll do it. Everybody wants a library. But especially when Irma was talking, I thought, she brought up some darn good points that we don't think about as far as the population that would use it compared to the population that would vote. And, I came in the room thinking, if that's what they decide, go for a vote, let's do it. But I'm starting to lean the other way now. I mean, I'm starting to think, well, I put myself in that spot because that we all know that I was a library guy, but there's something about it that's not fair, fundamentally fair, in terms of who gets to vote and who gets to use it, the comparison. Like I say, either way, I'm going to go with it, but I mean, that we all want it, but it's a tough one. I mean, really, because my heart says I want it now, kind of like we did the Park Street, but on the other hand, I thought, I do look at it as an essential service, like Councilor Reed. I think it's something that a lot of families need, and they don't have access to internet. They don't, they don't have a car to drive to Salem or whatever. But I really, like I say, if this work group decided that, I guess I would go with it. But like I say, it'd be kind of tough to if we don't pass it, because of the fact that folks that can't vote that really need it, that would be a tough one. That's my comment. So, and I appreciate all, everybody's passionate about this. I know how I feel. I wish I'd get it right now, but we have to be realistic, and we have to be, I don't really think we're going too far on helping. At the same time, there's folks that can't barely afford whatever, but the greater good for what we're elected for is to make those hard decisions, and I'm kind of torn, but I know I want a library, and I want it now.
So,
Sorry, that's my comment.
in the discussion about having an escalator, so we would be able to maintain service with the fees, so that it would have a baked-in level of service, and then with a cap. Is that something that, in either way that we do that, an active fee or a ballot to an active fee, would you be comfortable with that? That kind of structure?
I think Councilor Starr made some good points about, we want to have enough, and we're going to be short, and thinking about the cost of living, the increases, and I know that they considered that in their dollar. I get that. And like I said, that work group's one that did research, so I don't really, all I know is that I want a library, and I think that we're all passionate about it, and I appreciate everybody's points. I just, I wish we could do it and wave a wand and say we get it, but like I said, some points that were brought today. The gentleman that said about learning about other cultures and learning about, when I think about what's going on in the world, that is really important in this day and age, especially what's happening, And I think, I know I learned another language that way, and I, English, and I think it's something that some folks, like I said, that can't vote, that need it, that comes into play in my mind now. So
All right.
that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brown, did you have a comment before I go to Council President Smith?
I did. Just wanted to maybe ask a point of clarity and then raise up just a couple of considerations. One was you did a great job of building a case, Madam Mayor, of the assumptions we're all using. And I just wanted to clarify, the assumption of the ARPA funds for 3 years, is that a decision point that's been made?
It's one that was discussed at the work session. It is not one that has been passed, but the Budget Committee,
I did ask at the Budget Committee that we, I don't think they were included in the budget document, but I asked that they be earmarked for us to be able to come back and do a budget amendment. Should it go to the levy or go to the voters and pass, that we could come back and add that in at a later time. And I asked that those be set aside.
Okay,
right,
so,
and that was approved.
So it's in lead or graphite instead of ink, but...
I mean, we could use a friction pen if we needed to, so thank you.
Well, the reason I asked is, so the calculations we'd used today for 75 cents to create $125,000 yield in funds to support it were used in today's dollars. So if we consider that fee to not take place for 3 years until after the ARPA funds, then we probably should be looking at the full dollar amount. I mean, that is still a 33% increase, but definitely in 3 years, we're going to be well over that 75 cents. And just, I mentioned this in the staff report, but not in terms of an example, but under a fee, business like Target or REI or Lowe's pays $1. And
This is the residential. These are the Kaiser services bills that go to the ratepayers.
right. And so Lowe's
Right.
is a ratepayer. They paid $1.
Right.
Target is a ratepayer. They pay $1. And that's, I think, why in maybe the long run, a consideration for a tax, a service or a serial levy should be thought about because right now the households are going to bear the brunt of this cost. And you could say, well, maybe it's the households that use most of it, and that's probably true with a lot of services. But so I just wanted to kind of plug that in your minds. Taxes raised with inflation also, as properties appreciate in value, then the yield raises. Whereas as a fully grown city that doesn't have much room for expansion, we can only raise dollars through a service fee by building more homes or adding more businesses, which we can do incrementally, but probably not as fast as inflation. And those are the points I just wanted to plug in your ears.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to, unless you got something to add on that, we haven't had a chance to hear from Council President Smith. And then I'm going to go to Councilor Duran.
I don't know if you want to hear from me. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
Well, so I've been out a bit. I was out with surgery in February, so I've missed a lot of these things. So I'm kind of coming in, I have a lot of questions, which I think is actually kind of good representation of the rest of the city of Keizer. Because if I have questions, then that means that there's a lot of people who probably don't, or do as well. So a few things is, why does this feel like we're having to make such a huge decision in such a short period of time? What happened?
There's been a couple of things. One is that we need to go ahead and with the ARPA funds, so we don't have to do this today. But if this is going to the ballot, we are on a tight timeline to get to the November 22 ballot. The next time we would be able to go to the ballot without having to pay a substantial amount of money to be on the ballot, I believe is November 24. So we have a, okay, primary, so May of 24. So that would be the next time we could even ask the question without being on, because 23, we'd have to pay to be on that ballot, and it's pretty expensive. It's well over 10 plus grand. May of 23, okay. So that would be the next time we could. So if we're going to make the timeline, that's what put the rush on, or at least put the time pressure on this decision if we're going to go to the ballot. If we're not going to the ballot, we have time to work it through, and we have time to do community outreach on a less strict timeline.
Okay. Then my next question was, is that going to be coincide or okay with the ARPA funds? I mean, if we had to wait until the next go round, is there something on fire that I'm not getting or missing here that we are? Because it just, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in January, and now it feels like we're like making this humongous decision without that public outreach that I think we really need. And here's why I bring this up. This would be an ordinance, right? We'd be passing this dollar or whatever, right? So what if I tick off half of the city of Kaiser, they vote all of us out, and then they yank the thing at the 3-year mark? Could that happen?
Yeah.
So we're not really setting ourselves up for a permanent funding position, because if you don't have the buy-in, which I believe with the right marketing, honestly, the buy-in will be there. When I started this conversation, I really wasn't that much into a library. I was like, okay, whatever, we don't have one, it's fine, there's the little one down here. As I have heard the stories, I have been very moved to go, man, I could get behind that. I could sell that. And I just want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for failure by rushing something and not talking to people. Because when I talk to other people, they're saying, no, do not put another dollar on my bill. That's going to tick me off. There is a very high, passionate piece. We've had the government doing this test for a while, and it's something we're getting a ton of pushback. When you brought up the levy thing, I'll be totally honest, this is the other part of this. Kaiser has a thing about not, when we don't know what something is, we're automatically going to turn a blind eye to it and not even explore that. Tim's smiling because he knows this is part of what we need to start to grow up doing as well. And when Mr. Brown joined us and I listened to your interviews and stuff, I was really excited because it sounded like you had some additional ideas on funding sources. We can't go back and keep doing the same thing over and over and over again because we're unwilling to look at something else or we get in too big of a hurry. This just feels rushed to me. I'm not saying yes or no. I want the library and I'm willing to go knock doors or hang flyers or do whatever. But the way we're going to get there, I don't think we have enough on the table right now to make that decision. I need to know more about what this special levy thing is. I appreciate the fact that you pointed out that these major corporations, the In-N-Out Burgers, all those people that are pulling money in from our citizens, those extra dollars, those extra, your Starbucks. How many Starbucks do we have in this town? My gosh. So I just think that we might need to find the best way, not the fastest way. And I agree with Councilor Herrera. I understand wanting things very quickly. My daughter wanted a new car. She told me this yesterday. This morning I called her. I said, hey, have you looked at anything? Oh, I bought one yesterday. I'm not going to even say it because it's like, did you do your research? Did you make sure it got checked out by a mechanic? Did you do this, and this? That's my job. That's my intuition, is to slow down and be as accurate as possible and represent as many people as possible. Buy-in from the entire community. That loops into the pride, spirit, and volunteerism. This was not built overnight. I'm sure that the city of Kaiser did not become a community overnight. We've got to be cautious about going so fast that we're hearing one group. And I love y'all, trust me. I love that you come in and you talk, but it's the same about 50 to 100 people every time. And there's a few more people out there. Councilor Herrera, I fully agree with you that I am concerned about it just being the voters. So, and the lady that spoke, so critically important. But as I'm just sitting here, I'm going, wait a minute, why are we in such a hurry, and what are our other options? Because having a work group and then here you go, here's your only options, just doesn't seem like a good process to me. And that's just my opinion.
Well, thank you. And I had hoped to bring this back to work session, but it is on the agenda tonight, and we can kick it back to work session if we want to have some more conversation. So do we have to make a decision tonight? No, we do not. But if we're going to go on the ballot, we are under a very tight timeline for the November 22 ballot. And if we decide that we are going to move in a different direction in enacting the fee and the public outreach process, we can have that, we can do that as well. But we have to decide which direction we want to go on that and then do the marketing for that. So we have two directions we can go.
My concern is just that if we do not have the public buy-in to where they're passionate about it, we very well could all be thrown out because people are very sensitive. When you're paying $6 gas when you drove down through Keizer right now, I'm looking at people, I do mortgages for a living. People were buying homes at, 2 or 3%. It's now 5.875. People are not able to have the budgets that they had, and they have not really felt the inflation hit that we are experiencing just yet. And it just concerns me that we could set this all up and, lo and behold, hey, we put the dollar on there or the $1.50 and all this stuff, and we're thinking about the little details about that's great. But what happens if the voters say, not cool, not okay, you guys are all out, and they run an entire campaign because we did this without asking the public or getting that buy-in? They come in and they undo it. Now you have 3 years paid for by ARPA and you have no future way of funding it. I guess those are just the thought processes from where I'm coming from, that I think we need to be cautious in this. And I would love to continue the conversation. I think it's something that we definitely should do, but the funding sources and how the future and the public buy-in to the fullest extent of our abilities. I know every one of these people in here would be knocking and talking and everything else, but I sure don't want to set us up to have it completely undone. And we've seen that across the country. So that's my point.
Okay, thank you. And however we structure this, because part of the question was on the fee level that we're discussing, with cost of living, maintain service level and so forth. I know this again, can evolve, but at this point, this is what we're talking about in terms of the level of fee to make sure that we can set a level of service and sustain it. Councilor Duran.
I completely agree with Councilor Smith on this. I feel like it is being a little bit rushed, but of course I've spent a little bit more time on it than she has because she's been gone. I do feel that I've probably had, with as many people here that are pro library right now, I've probably had 4 times that many since I came in office that have said they were upset with how things happened 5 years ago. So that's been on my mind, for the last 2 years. So I'm working on those things, and I want to make sure we're doing this correct. My concern is not for $1.50 a month. I think that's insignificant for probably the majority of the people in town. It's what happens next. Do we, the library decides to expand. Do we just add another couple bucks? We've got to think about this in, what the realities are in the near future. 3 years down the road, things are great. They decide, hey, it's being used well, let's go, and they're not ready to go to a library district, but we need to come up with some, a bigger facility or more, expansion of the facility or something. It's just going to be too easy to keep adding $1 here and $1 there. So I'm worried about that, and I would really like to get buy-in from the citizens on this in a vote.
So in that vote, the ask is for a particular level of service, because what you're talking about is in the future, if the people of Kaiser want to, expand services, they want to expand level of service, they want to be able to make a change, that is something that the people of Kaiser at that time can enact through a levy, a bond, and so forth, if that is necessary. But also, being the 21st century library, where we're going to be able to access so much of it electronically, this has the opportunity of being that test case, if you will, the first one formed under this model, at least in this area, of this being, we're going to be primarily, a lot of our collection is going to be electronic or interlibrary loan, where books are delivered to Kaiser from all of the shared libraries. So I think that we also will have a chance for us to try stuff out and as part of the larger collective of what would then be 18 libraries that would be a part of. So we have to remember that this is not a one and done, this would be joining a collective. That would be across the two county, it's three, it is three, Marion, Polk, and Yamhill, okay? So I just want to clarify on that. You know, what I'm going to do though, is I'm going to turn to our youth counselor for any thoughts at this point. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but I do that sometimes. What do you think?
It's very interesting, so I think this is my second to last meeting, I believe, because I'm graduating. But throughout my time here since September 2021, the amount of things that I've been exposed to, the amount of things I had no idea even happened behind the scenes is so crazy. I can tell you that majority of people at McNary right now have no idea that this conversation is going on. So I feel privileged to be able to experience this. And I wish more people my age were able to do that too and come out to these city council meetings because, this library is going to be a resource to us as well. When it comes down to, so I think the common consensus is that everybody wants a public library, which I think we've established. It just really comes down to, is the city council going to take the initiative and put the fee on all the citizens of Keizer? Or are we gonna put it on the ballot? And then it's also a time crunch because you wanna put it on the ballot, but apparently it's very expensive, which I was not aware of. So I think it's tough, especially nowadays, making decisions for so many people with so many different opinions and priorities as well. There's probably plenty of people out there who don't care for a library, but many others who do. It all just comes down to personal beliefs and what you believe to do with your money and stuff like that, which is a very sensitive topic to many people, especially right now. I think the easy thing to do would just to be all right, let's all say yes and put a vote on this and put the $1 fee on everybody. But I think it was very empowering listening to President Smith kind of challenging the narrative because it seemed to be like it might have been a majority vote within the Vine, possibly. I don't know, that's just what I was listening to. So I don't know, it's a very tough conversation, a tough topic, especially for something that seems as little as $1 to everybody, but $1 can mean so much more to many people. And the reasoning behind it as well, the voice behind the $1 is so much more powerful than the monetary value of it as well. So I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it. But it's very interesting conversation.
Well, thank you for letting me put you on the spot. But I have found that you are a very articulate individual and very thoughtful, so that's why I felt comfortable doing that to you, so forgive me for that. But also, you're here as a youth liaison, and you bring a perspective that some of us in the Silver Tsunami might have a slightly different point of view. So thank you for being willing to speak your mind. Appreciate that. All right. So the question before us now, pardon? Okay. You have one more? Okay. Who's up?
Go ahead.
Okay, and then, so Councilor Kohler, Councilor Herrera, and then Councilor Starr? Okay, go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Although Council President Smith did talk about how she felt it was kind of quick, you're right, you haven't been here for a lot of the discussion. And to me, I look at it and I think there's not very much of this that I've done quickly, or Councilor Starr's done quickly, or Councilor Reed has done quickly, because I think easily each of us have put in probably anywhere from 30 to 50 hours on this ourselves, looking at all the different possibilities and how we can do it, and how we can get to yes is the real thing that I wanted to do. And when I met with the library board, they said, well, how do you feel about it? I want to know how we get to yes. And so when I met with them and they said, if we put this on the ballot, will you support that and will you work with that? And they said, yes, we will do that. That allows us to do all the things that we need to do with our voters, with our constituents, with all the other people, all the people that live in Keizer, to sit down and discuss with them. Here's what we have. And it takes, the reason there's some urgency on there is because we want to put this on the November ballot so we can start giving them money so that they can move forward. That's what the urgency is. And so if we were able to do those things, then we can have the library and we can have it going good. I just want people to have the opportunity to say, yes, we want to support our library.
And before I go to Councilor Herrera, one of the other things that, yes, we could delay till the May 24 ballot. However, there is another issue, and that is, this is volunteer, the Kaiser Community Library is volunteers. And you know what? They've worked bloody hard getting this ready for the handoff. If we delay the handoff, I think we're putting at risk having a library be able to continue. This is volunteer driven. Volunteers do move on. Now, we've had passionate people working and providing us library service out of the goodness of their hearts and the generosity of our community for over 30 years. 30 years. So to say, yeah, we can bump this down, for another year and a half. No, this hasn't been rushed. This has been 30 years in the making. And this has been step by step, making sure that every T is crossed and every I is dotted. This is ready to go. This has been handed to us. Here you go, gift. This can happen. This library is ready for the conversion to Kaiser Public. The question is, can we get that market? If we're going to put it on the ballot, we got to get that marketed. If we're not going to put it on the ballot, then we got to get it marketed. Either way, we got to get out and involve the community in that transition. But delaying till 24, in my humble opinion, is not an option. We will drop the ball, and I don't think we'll be able to pick it up. We've got to do this now. That's part of the urgency, is that this sucker is ready to go.
Have a small window of opportunity.
We really do.
And let me clarify that. My question is, and that's why I was asking what the dates, because when is the ARPA money going to be gone? What are we running? And I think that the library was running up against some dates as well from what I had heard and read. My question is, if tonight, are we voting on moving to the ballot? My concern is that the question? Yes, no, we're going to move it to the ballot. What we've been hearing is we want people to vote to put a $1 fee on there, but we don't necessarily know if that's the best bet. So I want to clarify, what are we voting on? Because to suddenly just say, we're going to do a $1 fee tonight, I don't feel like we have made, like that's where that feels rushed. I understand and respect, because Dan, I know how much you put in. But what I'm saying is that does it have to be this or this?
It does not, because what we can do is indicate the direction we're going to go.
That's what I was looking for.
And the level at which the fee is set is something that was still, if we do the ballot, it would be part of the development of the ballot title. If we do the enactment of the fee, that would be the development of that ordinance. So either way, that conversation can still happen in the fleshing out the level at which that needs to happen. So I think tonight is important, though, that we do indicate the direction we're going to go. Are we going to go ballot measure? Are we going to do move toward enacting a fee? In either a case, we've got to make sure, check our numbers for the amount necessary. We've got to have the mechanism in place for maintaining a level of service and adapting the amount that we're paying through a fee to maintain a level of service, and it can adapt. And we're also going to have to, we want to do public outreach. This is Kaiser's best kept secret. Let's make it not be Kaiser's best kept secret. We want kids, people of all ages reading and enjoying the services that we already have and what can come with the conversion to Kaiser Public. So in either event, we've got to do public outreach and marketing and let people know, hey folks, we're converting to Kaiser Public and this is what it can do for you and your neighborhood and our city. So in either event, those are things we still have to do. The decision point tonight, in my humble opinion, is to let the people know which way we're gonna go, because one has a timeline and the other one has less of an urgent timeline. But we gotta get this sucker going if we're gonna be going to the ballot, in all fairness to everybody. So I think that's what I see our decision point tonight. Anybody see another nuance in that? Okay, Councilor Starr, did you have something?
I was just, my concern was pushing this down, the decision down the road to wait. And I just wanted to clarify, maybe with Adam, that the general election is in even number of years, correct? So if we didn't do November, we would have to wait until May 2024. Am I correct in that? 23.
Well,
I'm
there would be a cost.
asking
Yeah.
thank you very much, but I'm asking our city manager and our staff, thank you. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, Recorder?
Yeah, Ms. Davis.
I can answer the question, sorry.
Thank you.
If the primary and general in even numbered years are free elections to the city, if we went in May of 23 or November of 23, we have to pay for the ballot.
Okay, thank you. So
Yes.
we would be having, if we wanted a free election, it would be in the even number of years. I am not in favor of pushing this down the road, so I wanted decision.
Yeah, Fisher Cut
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the things that, as a work group, we talked about was whether to go to an election or have the council just enact a vote. And then we did not specifically say this is the dollar amount that we want to do, because we felt that that is something that we could work on a little bit between now and when it actually hit the ballot, as that would give us a little more time. So that number wasn't actually something that we said, yep, this is the number we want. I have several questions about that. For example, I've heard several things talked about that Target would pay the same as somebody that just lived up the street. Well, is it possible to have the commercial accounts be a different amount than the residential accounts? I don't know that, and that's one of those things that I wouldn't mind taking a look at. But I still think that in order to do the things we needed to do, we need to have that decision tonight.
All right, thank you. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I find it interesting in this discussion that Councilor Smith and Ms. Toey kind of use the same argument for different ends, or same support for different ends of the argument in terms of what's like the likely outcome is in terms of people's feelings about their pocketbooks and so forth. It could mean that that they are angry at us for passing the fee, or it could mean that this is likely to fail. And just looking historically at some of the measures that have gone to the ballot for basic services, the Marion County Fire District, some of the transit bills that have been on the ballot lately, again, for the good of all, have been defeated by the voters because of the fiscal impact. And so that is a huge risk, and another reason why I am reticent to put it on the ballot.
Okay. Point well taken. Thank you. All right. So I believe we have had a very thorough discussion on this issue, and I would entertain a motion on the floor that we can debate and vote on. It's open to anybody.
I move, oh, okay then.
Okay, Council President Smith.
I move the Kaiser City Council direct staff to prepare a ballot question for referral to the voters for the November 2022 general election to see if the voters of Kaiser wish to have the dollar fee added to their water bills to support the expansion of the existing Kaiser Community Library.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Let me get to that page.
Now you can discuss.
Right. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council direct staff to prepare a ballot question for referral to the voters for the November 2022 general election to see if the voters of Kaiser wish to have a dollar fee added to their water bills to support the expansion of the existing Kaiser Community Library. Friendly amendment?
Yes.
Water bill changed to Kaiser Services bill.
Yes.
And who was the second? Oh, and, okay.
I accept.
Thank you. Second friendly amendment. The dollar fee is, I believe, we need to,
To be determined?
a fee to be determined. I don't think that, I would ask that we not put the dollar in there at this time.
Agreed.
Agreed by the mover and the second.
Agreed.
Yep.
To have a fee added to their Kaiser Services bill to support the expansion of the existing Kaiser Community Library. Okay. Third friendly amendment.
Yes.
Conversion of the Kaiser Community Library to Kaiser Public.
Yes.
Agreed.
Thank you. So the motion now reads, I move the Kaiser City Council direct staff to prepare a ballot question for referral to the voters for the November 2022 general election to see if the voters of Kaiser wish to have a fee added to their Kaiser Services bill to support the conversion of Kaiser Community Library to Kaiser Public Library. That is now the motion on the floor, if I got that right.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Debate. Have at it. Shall I go one end to the other or let you all select? Councilor Duran.
I really don't have any more to say about it. I think this is what I'm looking for.
Councilor Starr.
Same here.
Council President Smith.
I'm good.
Councilor Kohler.
No further discussion.
Councilor Reed.
I will be opposing because I feel that this should be a matter for council to take up.
Thank you. Councilor Herrera.
I will be opposing also. The more I think about the fundamental fairness and the impact, the more I'm starting to lean that way. So I will be voting no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to concur with Youth Councilor Coleman. This is extremely tough because we want a library and I want it yesterday. And I've wrestled with this tremendously. And I've been very much in favor of putting the fee onto our services bill. I think that a lot of the conversation tonight has been very compelling. And one of the things that I know we're going to have to do in either event is a tremendous marketing and outreach, and we have a team ready to go in either direction. So that is probably where I'm going to land at this point. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed signify by saying no.
No?
No.
Motion passes 5-2 with the noes being Reed and Herrera. We're going to work our tails off on this and we're going to get it done.
Yeah. She's on it.
Casa. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before this topic is left for the night, I just have to speak that, let everybody know that I support a public library for the city of Kaiser.
Thank you for your clarification.
Poor guy.
All right.
All right, next thing.
So at this point, we're going to need to convene a,
Bathroom break.
yeah, we're going to need a bathroom break, but also next steps for convening work group for, or not work group, work session on the ballot title itself and that, what that's going to look like. So that's going to happen very quickly. It can't be later. All right. The time right now is 9:11 and we are going to take a 10-minute bio break. Call back to order the Kaiser City. Let me turn my microphone on. Let's try that again. Call back to order the Kaiser City Council in regular session. We are going now to the consent calendar. Council President Smith, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, there are 3 items. Item A, resolution approving report of consultant relating to Wheatland Road Corridor Plan, repeal of resolution R 2022-3277. B, resolution declaring the city's intent to initiate a street lighting local improvement district, Orchard Street partition, and directing the city engineer to make a survey and file a written report with the city recorder. And C, approval of the May 2nd, 2022 regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls?
Yes. C.
Council President Smith, you're polling C? Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other polls? Council President Smith?
I move the Kaiser City Council approve the consent calendar items A and B.
Second.
The consent calendars, item A and B, have been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. 9C, Council President Smith?
I pulled it because I wasn't here.
Okay, and you would like to abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and move.
Okay, I move that the Kaiser City Council approve the consent calendar item C.
Second.
Consent calendar, item 9C, has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion passes with 6 aye and 1 abstention, and that would be Council President Smith. Thank you very much. We're going now to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. I would like to start off with the appointments for the Northwest Kaiser Neighborhood Association and the Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association. Thank you to all of you for responding to my call for volunteers. Northwest Kaiser Neighborhood Association, Councilors Duran and Starr. Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association, Councilors Kohler and Reed. I'd like to remind folks that we assign 2 councilors per neighborhood association so that they could coordinate to make sure there's always at least 1 attending at all of the meetings. So really appreciate that. Is there any other business, Councilor Herrera?
Yes, under orders of new business, I'm here with an ask to attend a conference. It would be my last conference as an elected official. And it's probably the best conference. It's not the cheapest, but it's probably the best conference I've participated in. The NALEO conference, which the cost is regularly $800, not very cheap, and we're members, so it would be $600 for me. Just a little background, I do have money on my airlines of $250, but that's to Southwest Air, and right now it's not very cheap right now. I'm gonna be completely honest. In the 21-22 budget, we still have $6,000 since we haven't, $6,676 since we haven't, they have nothing during the pandemic. NALEO awarded me the scholarship for attending the emergency, I applied for and got a scholarship for attending emergency preparedness conference. And that was very rewarding and very helpful. Also, I was awarded a scholarship and asked for the League of Oregon Cities Spring Conference. It cost nothing to the city. They actually paid all my stuff because I awarded. I was actually doing this to save us money, sort of. And in 2021, LOC conference was canceled, so we didn't have money. We had that money left over. And I checked and we have the money to do this. The total cost would be in the $2,000 range, $2,325. That's pretty close to what it is. And I see the benefits of NALEO being the only conference of elected officials, Latino elected officials, as beneficial to my professional capacity to help in my community. Now, that has been proven time and time through my work with outreach for whether it's Cal Club, the birth of LAC, which is, we just recently rewarded more scholarships. And it has also enhanced my ability to help as a mentor, and especially at this time during the formation of the Kennedy Family Council, which I'm part of. And we missed you the other day, but tomorrow maybe. This would be very helpful. There are a couple of things in particular that I'm interested in. And one of them is called a presentation called, believe it or not, it's Upskilling Latinos in Digital Era. And this is something that would be helpful, that I could help as a mentor in my community in our new challenge, or project, I should say. There's also something that is very important to me, and it's called Second Chances. And basically, it's a better path forward for the criminal justice system in terms of how it affects Latinos in the area. The last thing that is really interesting to me would be the perfect storm, isolation, and substance abuse, which is very near and dear to me in regards to when the pandemic hit. A lot of the kids that I mentor, not a lot, there was two in particular that I was concerned about, and because school was their happy place. And I think that some of the training I got has helped me in terms of bringing back to my community the benefits of my training. When I first attended my very first Naleo, which was amazing, I was more of a learner, and I came back with the idea of starting the LAC, and thank God, he's not in the audience anymore, Arturo and I put it together, and it's been widely successful. Also, I think that just being around other elected officials has really helped me. I am working now on a project. In fact, I was actually recruited to run for the board, which I can't do since I'm done in December. And I'm actually now in a position where I can help others, and not only in the state of Oregon, but in the whole country, in terms of my colleague in New Mexico and my colleague in Indio, California, and I are working on certain things as far as the model that we did for LAC. And I feel like it's my obligation to share that. That's pretty much it I think it's important that I wanted to do this before June 1st because that's the deadline. And like I say, it's not one of the cheaper things that I asked for, but it will be, the benefits to me are amazing, and my work will continue even after I'm not a counselor, because I will do what I was doing before I was counselor, helping the Kennedy community. And I think it's a great opportunity for me. And by the way, I won't be upset if it's not possible. I'm 100% on that. I thank you for this opportunity, and hopefully you can help me out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Herrera. Anybody have questions for Councilor Herrera on the request for going to Naleo? Councilor Starr?
Acronym?
Oh, what does Naleo stand for?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm horrible. I put a dollar.
Yeah, there we go.
We used to have a thing, put dollar.
We used to have a little dollar thing.
National Association of Latino Elected Officials.
Thank you.
I think I said it right. Yeah. And it's wonderful because it's the only thing that brings Latinos from all over the country. And we sort of compare notes, and now I'm in this position where I can help others. Not only do I learn these 3 particular classes that I plan to be one of the participants in one of them. In fact, I was asked to be in a round table, and I turned it down because I wasn't sure I was going to go. And now I think that I would like to go. So that's why I'm doing the ask. It will be my last conference as an elected official as far as national. And like I say, I've learned, and honestly, the networking and the learning from other folks in other communities that have similar situations or similar populations has been very helpful to me. So that's my story. So any other questions?
Any other questions? We can do this by consensus. By consensus to approve the expenditure for Councilor Herrera to attend the Naleo conference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, by consensus, Councilor Herrera, yes.
I want to extend my appreciation and tell you folks that, a lot of the work that we do, I say we, it sounds like my wife gets mad when I say I, has been kind of under the radar. And I think that if you do work the right way, it'll come back in a rewarding way. And we showed that Thursday when we when we got together and raised $14,000 for 32 scholarships of Latino students. And I keep bragging about the graduation rates. You've heard it a million times, but something I want to brag to my colleagues in the Naleo world. So to show them that it works. If you implement it and plan it, like work your plan, then plan your work, plan your work, then work your plan, and then it works. And a lot of it takes support and persistence. I know a lot of people because I'm really persistent, and that's how I get stuff done. A little bit. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Brown, any other business from staff tonight?
Not that I'm aware of, but I expect that you might want to talk about the reconvening the work group to talk about the funding levels as we work on the ordinance for the library.
Okay, and I think I don't know if we need work group or to move into, have a work session to thoroughly discuss this and invite I believe a political action committee has been formed by the library, so we'll need to hear from them. But I think we need to really flesh out the elements for the ballot title, and we're going to need to meet with the library to do that and with CCRLS to do that. And I think that sounds like it'd be more appropriate for a work session. Opinions?
And there would be a lot of work to be done by the city attorney, Mr. Johnson, and also would make the council aware, if or not, the state has a program called Safe Harbor for ballot issues, so that if the city is producing informational items, you clear it through the Secretary of State's Safe Harbor program, and then they have your backs because it has to be neutral to the ballot measure. So I've used it. It works very well, although it's somewhat painful, but it works well. And they have your backs when, if it's ever needed to be defended.
All right, thank you very much. So we're going to need to schedule that work session very, very soon, like yesterday. So if you could assist us in getting that on our calendars very quickly, and then reach out to Kaiser Community Library leadership and CCRLS. We're going to have them at the table to help make sure that we are hitting all the marks that need to be in that ballot title. Any disagreement on that or thoughts? Okay, we got a lot of work ahead. Any other business staff updates? Mr. Wood?
I have nothing additional tonight, thank you.
Budget is coming to an agenda near us.
It will be on the next agenda, it's so exciting.
Okay, we like this kind of stuff. All right. Ms. Davis?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay. Chief? Mr. Lawyer? Mr. Witham?
No, Madam Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to council reports, and I'm going to start with, you know what, maybe, I'm thinking of starting with Youth Councilor Coleman and come down this way.
Okay.
How about that for mixing it up?
Okay. So, as I mentioned last time, McNary Theater is putting on a play called Puffs, which is kind of Harry Pottery. I don't know the exact
Off-brand Harry Potter.
Off-brand Harry Potter. I think they must have didn't the writer I don't know. Anyways, it's May 18th through the 21st at 7 p.m. at Ken Collins Theater at McNary. You can buy tickets on McNary Theater's Ticket Leap website or at the door. Coming up this Thursday is my last blood drive as a high school student. So this is very, very exciting for me because it's my first blood drive for an on-campus situation. So currently I have 100 students and staff to give blood this Thursday, which is very exciting.
Bravo.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm excited to give a report on how that goes next meeting. And then McNary's APT group is gonna have their final concert. We did a little vote on letting them waive the fees at the Kaiser Amphitheater. So that concert is gonna be on Wednesday, June 1st from 7 to 9 p.m. I want to go really bad because I went to the Whitaker Cabaret the other day and I was like, this is so fun and entertaining. Like, I want to go to all these concerts, and I'm like, wow, it's already the end of May and I missed everything. So I'm definitely going to go to this one. And then graduation is on June 10th. That is my last final thing. That's my last goal.
And how many sessions will there be and where?
So there are going to be 4 sessions. Isn't it? Is it on the field or is it in the gym?
In the field.
On the McNary Field, it's going to be 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. And on May 23rd at 8 p.m., you get to sign up for your session. And the closing window for that ends on 8 p.m. June 3rd, I believe. So pick your time ASAP.
Fantastic.
And
Thank
I
you
believe
so
that's
much. I've got to put you on the spot twice tonight. Well done.
I was ready.
You were ready for it. Fantastic. All right, let's continue down. Councilor Herrera.
You know, I passed around the color caucus thing. I don't know if you guys, anybody took a look at that?
Yeah.
I want you to know, I did that for a reason, because that was actually born in my office upstairs in my house. And all 3 of those folks, Commissioner McGriff, all those folks, Nguyen, and I recruited them personally, all of them. So I'm really proud of that, and that was all part of my training. So I want you guys to know that. Anyway, this week was pretty busy for me. The highlight was I fell again and hurt my arm, but I'm fine. As long as it's not my feet, I won't stop. I also had the Color Caucus POC, our meeting. It was great, and we're losing Jenna Jones, which she went on to get a job in Portland, I guess. But anyway, and then today, because of my rewrapping of I miss Kaiser United, which I don't like missing, but I did inform him that LIC, which another one of our products, is providing the lunch, and I'm personally inviting all of you folks, if you're available for the next Kaiser United, we'll be providing Mexican food. And anybody like Mexican food?
Yeah. I like food.
Let's see here. On Wednesday, we got I was going to be attending the new Northwest Kaiser, and I like to go to all of those, so I'm not intruding on anybody, but and I'm also available to replace anybody that can't go whenever. McNary Boosters is having something coming up, and it's the June 4th is the fundraiser for the annual McNary Athletic Boosters fundraiser. And I was wondering if we could get a table as a city, and I would be willing to find a sponsor, since I already asked for a couple things already. It's $500 for a table, and I think the city it would be awesome if we could participate in that and join them for a table of 8 of us and support them. I'm gonna be donating, and if anybody wants to donate stuff, do it now. Call Amy Bauer, and I will be donating a few cool things, but I think it'd be something if we could represent, and like I say, I could try to find a sponsor. I could do that. I mean, so that would save us $500 right there. I also wanted to talk a little bit about this thing that happened in Buffalo. Kind of, the gentleman, and I know it's different, but it really impacted me. I know a lot of folks don't think so, but I mean, there's a lot of misinformation out there. That's another reason for our library. People just, I know that the gentleman that killed those folks, he didn't even know them, but in his mind, what he saw, that's the danger of these things, is he was, at that time while he was doing that, to him, he was a good guy with a gun. And I have an issue with that, and I just feel like it hit close to home in my case, because I've had situations where, the one that happened in El Paso directly affected me, my cousin. So I just wanted to say that. And again, thanks for the opportunity to attend this conference, because I think it will be beneficial to everybody. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had a Stormwater Advisory Commission meeting, first in quite a while. And one of the things that I would invite you to do is check out the water quality report that has recently come in the mail. And it's one of those pieces of mail that you probably don't think is very important, but it is important. It's your water. And so That is part of our public outreach and public education piece of the recently approved permit from the Department of Environmental Quality. We also had a Community Diversity Engagement Committee, and it seems like we could talk about important things forever in that meeting. And one of the important things that we're doing there is to figure out, we have an upcoming work session in June. And so the committee is wanting to figure out what talking points to bring to the council. And really the big part of this whole committee is to define itself as it goes. And yes, we started out with some parameters, but there are some really good people working very hard to figure out the best way to engage our community on all levels. There was a celebration of music at the Elsinore, so all of the McNary choir, band, and orchestra groups were at that, and it was really phenomenal. It was so fun to see them in action down at the Elsinore Theater, and they all had their state competitions and did admirably well in those. We had the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, and that was a beautiful event. It was so nice to be back in person again, and just an excellent feel of community in that, and I appreciate that. It's been mentioned, but I kind of just wanted to highlight again, during the Palmacia workday, bless Robert's heart. He made sure that bench was there for that work session. And it was just beautiful to be able to see his appreciation for the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association and his diligence in making that happen. So special thank you to Robert for making that happen, and for all of those who showed up on there. It was sparsely attended, but great people. So I'm gonna just say, there's a fabulous community opportunity coming up, and that is in the form of The Music Man. So Kaiser Homegrown Theater is sponsoring a production of The Music Man that will involve many different students of McNary, students, dancers, and elected officials, might I say. So Kathy and I have been cast as Pick a Little Ladies, so there's that. So come see us in September.
Oh my gosh, I'm so going to that.
Yes, oh, it will be magnificent, I promise.
It's gonna be a fabulous show.
Awesome. Yes, and super excited about that. I think it's a cast of 65 or 70. It's a huge cast, and it will be at McNary, and it will just be a community undertaking. So we're proud of that. Awesome. The Latinos in Action Scholarship, Councilor Herrera has mentioned that, and Paul, what do you want me to say? It was fabulous.
It was great, and thank you for being there.
Yes, well, and it was just, again, the Latinos in Action Committee itself does so much for our youth, and our counselors the McNary counselors did a fantastic job of making sure those guys, Mrs. Mian was just on them. You come apply for the scholarship, and she was a force to be reckoned with. And so the counseling department and McNary staff and the Latinos in Action Committee are really excellent mentors for those kids, and I appreciate that a lot, and it was delightful. I attended the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance board meeting, and one of the things that was really impressive to me was we talked about, we had a presentation about microhomes, and the presenter, Russ Monk, thank you, made the point of how micro homes were good for everyone. They were not just for homeless people, but if we can kind of build this into our infrastructure, it can benefit everybody in terms of, in times of a natural disaster, or just anybody who needs these micro homes. If we build that into our infrastructure, it's good for the whole community. Yes, it's also good for our homeless, to mitigate our homeless challenges, but it's really an excellent opportunity for a lot of people, and I appreciated learning about that. Attended the Bike Skills Safety Fair that was held here in City Hall last Saturday. Brought my grandsons to that, and huge thank you to the Bike Ped Safety Committee that hosted that, and also our officers that were in attendance. That was great, and I wish we had a little bit more attendance from the community, but it was a rainy day, and this was just getting started again after our COVID situation. But it was a lot of fun, and it was a very meaningful community event. I appreciate that. We have Art Commission meeting tomorrow. The Kaiser Heritage Board is also this week. It's been rescheduled. And then, Mr. Lawyer, you didn't say anything about this, but I'm just going to mention it, that the Big Toy is closed this Friday, May 19th, for about 7 weeks. So we appreciate that project's getting underway, but we will also miss the services of that delightful facility. So, thank you.
Thank you. We do have other parks and playgrounds, so it's time to explore the other ones for a little while. All right, thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and Council President Smith, you start your timer.
Oh, I am.
So on 5/3, I attended the chamber greeters, which we talked about the library. It was actually held in the library. It was a pretty informative meeting. Of course, it went with a lot of the other things that I got to go to. And then the Kaiser Community Dinner would like to ask, first of all, on May 25th, the 25th, we've got Kaiser Community Dinner. And then in June, the MAC group was going to do the feeding. In July 27th, we have the burgers we're going to do, and they've asked if the council would like to serve burgers that day. That's July 27th.
Thank you.
And then attended the chamber board meeting on 5/4, and also the library work group. There was some little bit of work that was done there. And then, of course, the prayer breakfast and the Siebel Chuck Lee Memorial Scholarship Award at CTEC on the 5th. Also on the 5th, the Salem Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association. Of course, we all went to the budget committee, except Councilor Smith. And on 5/12, we had this little thing called the Percy event, which I don't have a report on how much they raised, but Councilor Herrera, I'm sorry I missed the LAC scholarships because I was raising money for the Percy. So,
That's quite right. We were well represented.
yeah, I felt bad about not going to that, but I was selling beads, so anyway, we'll get to another story. This coming week, one of the things that isn't on our agenda or our calendar really is the chamber has a government affairs committee that meets at noon at the chamber office. Representative George is going to be there and talk to us about some different things. So those are kind of, just did a few things.
A little bit. I think everybody's back in full gear. Welcome back, Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a lot because I have been gone. And just wanted to thank everybody for holding down the fort and doing all the work. I appreciate it. And I was out for surgery for about over a month, and then came back and then took off to Mexico for 10 days. So I'm back. I'm here to help. I have traffic bike safety ped this week, and I think that's pretty much it for the week. So, which is good because I'm still working with the Detroit Lake Foundation, getting ready to hand over the community center to the city of Detroit, which is an exciting moment to finally get to. So that's been not something just for the city of Detroit, but for the entire Marion County. I think there's been so many people, and we've actually slated the grand opening up there if anybody can be there. I know Kaiser has done so much for the city of Detroit, and that will be on June, I believe it's June 4th.
4th.
Yep, I was like, I think it's 4th, it's June 4th. And it is from 2 to 6, and it's just an open house style. So if anybody would like to come up, we'd love to have you. And we'll have some great things going on up there. So thank you all for covering for me, but yeah, I'm back.
All right, welcome back. Thank you very much, Councilor Starr. Wow. Almost give you, whoa. Run.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Clark. Had the pleasure of attending the Samanka House Renew Luncheon that was held here. It was a beautiful event. They announced the June Samanka Giving Circle. So if anybody is interested in getting involved in Samanka House, I would encourage you to look into that. Had the prayer breakfast, the Percy event in costume. In costume. That was a big step for me. The Community Diversity Engagement Committee, Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association, and the CBEL meeting. And we have the Northwest Kaiser Neighborhood meeting coming up this week. And I would like to thank, on a professional note, I would like to thank Councilor Duran for attending the Casa event on Saturday night.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Duran.
Okay. I went to a meeting downtown with the Chamber of Commerce that I wanted to talk about. It was 2 weeks ago on Monday, and it was the discussion on crime in the Mid-Valley. And it was a good conversation to see the different groups of people together that were trying to find ways to get things taken care of in, with crime and different things that are happening. Both district attorneys from Marion County and Polk County were there, and the sheriffs were there, and county commissioners were all there. So just getting their thoughts on how things were working and how things could be done better was just nice to see the group of people getting together and try and work together with the business community. So that was just something separate from my duties here that I just thought was a good opportunity. Last Thursday, the soccer field work group was good to see and good to be a part of. And then next week we meet again and see how that turns out. I did enjoy the Casa Light of Hope. That was a great event on Saturday. This Wednesday, there's a Kaiser Fest meeting with the Kaiser Fest group, and I guess it's here with city staff. So I will be in attendance of that and hopefully get the ball rolling with everybody on that.
All right, thank you very much. Just a couple of things to add. The Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, we heard some about the board meeting and the presentation on the compact livables. The board will be meeting in June, but it'll be later on because we'll be looking at the responses from proposers for the funds for the youth and young adult prevention and ending homelessness. So these are grants that are being, this is a grant that we received last year from the Housing and Urban Development. This is $3.7 million for us to put into action specifically for enacting our strategic plan for youth and young adults. Very, very important population that we need to serve in a very specific way to be effective. Let's see, a lot of these have already been covered. Latino Business Alliance, it was a pleasure to attend that with Councilor Herrera and City Manager Adam Brown. And it was not only a great networking time with businesses from around our area, but also to hear from the Salem Fire Chief, Niblock, about public safety and the importance of learning CPR and how to use an automatic emergency defibrillator and AED, making sure you have one at your workplaces and in facilities where you're going to have folks that may need that, and the importance those have had in saving lives. So Paco Rosas, Service Master business owner, was the one who invited Chief Niblock, and it was a great conversation. Let's see, coming up, we've got the League of Oregon Cities Women's Caucus, and then I've got the League of Oregon Cities Budget Committee coming up on the 18th. The Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments Legislative Committee is continuing to meet with the legislative directors. We've met with the Association of Oregon Counties, League of Oregon Cities, and next we're going to be meeting with the legislative director from special districts. Again, we're trying to work together on our plan for making sure that our legislators are better informed on how to meet the needs of cities so we can do our job for the people in our community. The Kaiser Community Library book sale will be this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday, right here in the Civic Center. You know, you read all your books over the winter. We've had a lot of rain. Time to turn them in, get some new ones, refresh that bedside table or your coffee table with some fabulous books to read this summer, especially when you're out on the patio and with a glass of iced tea. So come down here, get your library books, or get your books at the Kaiser Community Library book sale. This coming weekend, on Saturday, we will also have the May edition of Coffee with Kathy. The video will be filmed and broadcast live on Facebook, and then also be on our channel. And our special guest this month will be Etta Brown. And then we'll have the in-person starting at 1 o'clock at Mommy and Maddie's over on River Road. So come by, grab some coffee if you want to, and let's tell people that the coffee is optional, good conversation is required. On the 25th, I'll be attending the SEDCOR luncheons. That's the Strategic Economic Development Corporation, and their speaker will be the University of Oregon economist Tim Dewey. That's going to be fabulous to hear what he's got to think about our economy, given all of the gyrations over the last several months, not to mention the last couple of years. He's always insightful, somewhat entertaining. He's very popular because he has a tremendous amount of expertise, but also is a very clear presenter on very complex issues. And finally, I've been invited to be part of the Weddell Elementary School Career Day. And so I'll be going there on the morning of the 26th to visit with students about public service, especially as cities. So going to be promoting that. Lots of other things coming up. Everybody's busy, and we're all back at it. All right, and speaking of busy, in case you're not, or even if you are, we are soliciting for applications for volunteers for the following committees. The Public Arts Commission, we have 3 positions that are up for renewal. Youth counselor and youth liaisons to our committees and commissions. And I think Miranda can tell everybody, all of your colleagues who are juniors or sophomores, tell them to apply because of your amazing service here and what you've gotten from it and what we've gotten from you being an amazing youth counselor. So go to the city website, kaiser.org, sign up today. All right. There we go.
Don't forget to vote.
Vote. I turned in my ballot like a week ago. It was like, oh yeah, they're still doing that. Vote. Get your ballots in. The box outside of City Hall is open 24/7, but it's going to close at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. No stamps necessary. Get it down here. Get it marked. Sign the back, and pop it in the slot. Your vote counts. The only vote that doesn't count is the one that is not cast. Get your votes in today. Agenda input, June 6, 2022 at 7 p.m. We will meet in regular session. June 13th, we will have a work session with the Community Diversity Engagement Committee. And on June 21st, it will be a Tuesday. We will have City Council meeting in regular session at 7 p.m. And also the following council meeting will be July 5th, also a Tuesday because of the Monday Independence Day holiday, 7 p.m. And then July 11th, we will meet in work session. So mark your calendars, make sure those are all in there so you remember, and it pops up on your phone saying, oh yeah, I've got to be somewhere. And that's all I got.
All right.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground tonight. The time is 10:04. We are adjourned.